anonymity and an audience and like totally normal sane person, and they just turn into a total fuckwad, right? And that's the way it works on the internet. They're able to hide behind a keyboard, so it's easy to go in. And then also because certain players, you know, it's the kind of a sheep mentality. When one player goes in, all of a sudden they all start going in on him, you know, and that just happens, unfortunately. It's kind of a sheep mentality, and it's so kind of frustrating to see that. And really, honestly, there's really just no answer outside of that. It's just people have the opportunity, they think it's funny, they jump in on it. And, you know, just, you know, hopefully people can be better about it and not go in on people for absolutely no reason. And, you know, I don't want to go down that path saying like a lot of people are jealous, you know what I mean? Like, oh, why is this player sponsored? Blah, blah, I'm better, you know, this person doesn't deserve to be sponsored, they suck, blah, 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 you know, that kind of thing. You know, there is a lot of jealousy involved in that, you know, but at the same time, it's easy to go in on someone. And in fact, you know, I've always joked that I've done it too. Like, I watch NBA and I get mad like at Mike Brown or Mike D'Antoni, who coached the Lakers in the last couple of years, and I'm always like, these guys suck. I can coach the Lakers better than these guys. Brah! You know, it's the same kind of thing. It's like as soon as someone is considered kind of celebrity, and you kind of lose track of the fact that they're actually a human being. So it's very easy to be mean to people on the internet. So it's just the way it is. I'm not saying that it's good or it's right, and we should stop it. We should call it out more, and we should all generally just try to be nicer people on the internet. But, you know, I mean, I'm basically asking to change human nature. It's very hard. So, and then he also asks me about a game called Vanguard Princess, which I do not know anything about, and I haven't played, but apparently he says was made by one person, and that's really cool. So, okay, I'm going to take one more break. I'll do a few more questions, and then we'll jump over to David for level 3 focus. So, yeah, we'll be right back, guys. All right, everybody, welcome back to First Attack. I'm just going to do a couple more questions here, and we'll call it a night. Again, if you want to ask some more questions, feel free to send them to UltraChenTV@gmail.com, and I'll be able to ask more questions. As you can see, these are questions geared more towards beginner topics and or community stuff and that kind of situation. So not necessarily like, you know, super complex questions here. So these are questions. If you want to be anonymous, definitely let me know. I just like to say names so that people, you know, who did send in the questions really know that it is their question that they're sending, because I paraphrase their emails a lot. But if you want to remain anonymous and such like that, like if you really want to ask a question that you're afraid sounds scrubby or whatever like that, you know, send it in, let me know. And yeah, send me all kinds of questions. I'll be more than happy to answer everything. That's what this is here for. So one of our very own mods here on stream basically sent me a question, and he says that, you know, he actually got a chance to see me play Marvel in person, and he's noticed that I'm very physically expressive, more than a lot of other players. Do I feel like this gives away a lot of information? For example, David is a student of body language. You know, perhaps he'd have thoughts on this too. But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it gives away a lot. I've talked about, me and David like to talk about how Ricky likes to kind of turn his eyeballs and look at his opponent without actually looking at them, you know, to see what their mood is and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that you give away, especially like if you lose a crucial match and you're just like, oh, then they know that's when it's time to strike and go for the kill and such like that. You can give away a lot of information about that. In fact, one person even noticed that whenever I'm going to do a wake-up uppercut, I sit perfectly still and do wake-up uppercuts. When I want to fake an uppercut, I start like gesturing like crazy, and like my hand gets really, really like wild, like I'm like, look, I'm uppercutting, and he's like, you know, you do this every time, right? I'm like, I do, and it's really sad. So I mean, it's just one of those situations that happens, and so you can give away a lot of things. The best players are the ones that give away no emotion, that don't change their expressions or a lot at all. So definitely you can give away a lot through that. In Marvel, I mean, I'm just salty all the time, so I'm just gonna be salty whenever I play, and because that game is just frustrating. I mean, to be honest with you, the reason why Marvel makes me so frustrated is a lot of times everyone's like, "This game is so scrubby, anyone can win," and let me tell you, I obviously know that's not true. So it's very frustrating. But again, I mean, the answer is simple: just go and play the game. I don't play the game at all. And everybody, you know, gives me that criticism, and it's absolutely true. I don't play the game, so how can I expect to get good at it if I don't play? You know, a perfect example of this, if you guys watch Run Back a lot, I watched certain players go from, like, they can barely win. In fact, their first win was against me, and they were like, I got my first win at Run Back, and I was like, thanks. But now they've gotten to a point where they're like actually a threat at the run back, and they're really, really good, you know, and that happens, and that's because they play a lot. You know, they actually put the time and effort into it, and I haven't done that, so I'm gonna be bad at the game. I have no reason to complain about being bad at Marvel because I don't play the game. But yeah, back to the original question. Definitely, you should try to hide your emotion as much as possible because that does give away a lot of information. So here's a question here from Orion, and he says, thought he would give this a shot and try to send me a question. He is currently about around 2K, player points, Balrog player, but he felt like he hit a ceiling. He understands all the things like links and tick throws and all the stuff like that, but he has the hardest time executing them. He's actually considering going out to Wednesday night fights and signing up to play, but he's scared that he's going to get destroyed and people will make fun of his bad habits and skill. He actually lives out here very close to where I'm at, actually, out in the west side in LA. So the drive isn't that far. It is because of traffic. But, I mean, it isn't that far. So, but he's just nervous that he won't be able to match anyone. It'll be just a waste of time. He's looking for a little guidance. Go. That's my answer. Go. Go, go, go. Go, go. Even if you don't enter the tournament, that's fine. Because casual stations pop up as the tournament runs down. Because when it gets down to about 16 players, you only have 8 matches at once. One of them is going to be on the stream. And, you know, so you're going to have a lot of empty stations. And people start playing casuals. And then they just play casuals for the rest of the night. You don't have to enter. Go and watch. Pick up the atmosphere. Understand how it is. Make friends with people. And, dude, I mean, you're lucky. You're very lucky, and I'm going to say this, that everybody in SoCal is definitely blessed because our scene is really, really, really friendly. There's very few, outside of me getting salty at people at Southern Hills Golfland, but generally speaking, we have a very, very friendly scene here, and it's very rare to have people make fun of you or, you know, like, get out of here, kid, you suck, you know, kind of thing. That's definitely not going to happen. Our scene is a very strong scene, so just make it out there, have fun, and play. And you are going to get bodied. That's just going to happen because SoCal is not only friendly, but we're also really freaking good. But you know what? It's all in good fun, and you can probably ask a lot of the people there. If you end up playing like NGL Chris, and after the match is over, if you just look at him and be like, hey, can you just give me one tip or one thing that you were taking advantage of that I did a lot? He'll probably tell you. You know, don't corner them and be like, hey, give me a dissertation on exactly what I did. You know, like, just ask for little things like that from people. You run into an Alex Myers. You'll run into, you know, all sorts of players there. Just ask them. And again, you are very fortunate because you do live in SoCal, and Wednesday Night Fights and Run Back is a great, great scene. So take advantage of that. That's why I say go. That's why I say go, because it's very rare to have that kind of situation. So definitely take advantage of it where you can. So, let's see here. I'll do maybe 2 or 3 more questions. So Adam asks, he just finished watching the most recent episode of First Attack. And by this point, it probably was the most recent episode because we haven't had one in forever. As a newer player, you know, he wants to give it, oh, this is great. Actually, I remember seeing this email, and I love this. I love this from Adam here. So shout outs to him. I even responded to him and told him I wanted to mention this here. So, on one of the on the episode that he's referring to, you know, I talked about people trying to get used to a joystick and how crazy it is for me nowadays to find out that there are people who have never actually ever used a joystick. And that blows my mind because I grew up in arcades and that's the only kind of controller. You didn't have pads in arcades. You had only joysticks. So some people actually can't get used to doing joystick motion. So, you know, they can't do fireballs or whatever like that. So what Adam said was he has a piece of advice to give to other new players. And that is, play other games with your arcade stick. This is fantastic. So he never used an arcade stick before playing Street Fighter, and after playing casual hour, he played casually an hour on Super Metroid, a game that he was really familiar with. All of a sudden, he found a natural hold on the joystick, and he got really used to the button locations and all sorts of other stuff. That is a great piece of advice. And there's a lot of great Xbox Live arcade games that you can use with this. You could play like Pac-Man Champion Edition to learn the joystick motion. There's like old shooters and stuff like that. There's all sorts of games that you can play using the joystick. So don't play fighting games and sit there trying to learn quarter circle motions and how do I hold the joystick because you're thinking about it. Play a game that you know and love with the joystick. Play a Super Meat Boy with the joystick, for example. You could totally do that. And play all sorts of games with the joystick, and that will help you get good at learning how to just feel comfortable with it, and eventually you'll get natural, especially if you're playing a game that you already know what the expectation is supposed to be. So if you already know what your characters and everything are supposed to be doing, that's perfect. That's perfect because now you can get good at a joystick in a way that you know what you're supposed to be able to do. So you'll learn techniques on the joystick and not worry about the game. Then when you go back to play Street Fighter, you won't have to worry as much about the controller and you can worry about the game. So again, shout outs to Adam. That was a great email. I love that. So great advice. So thank you for that. And let's see here. So again, James asks, he's new into fighting games and he's trying to get into Street Fighter 4. He was thinking about starting with Abel or Dudley, but he doesn't know if there'd be good beginning characters. If both are particularly difficult, should I start with another character? So I mentioned earlier a little bit, you know, about Ryu always being a good starting character and stuff like that. Rufus is kind of a decent starting character. Dudley's hard. Dudley is probably one of the highest execution characters in the game, unfortunately. But that's just the way it is. I mean, you see Smug when he plays Dudley. I mean, he looks like he's styling on people. It looks like he's destroying him. The honest truth is he's playing Dudley right. He's not even really styling with him. That's just what you have to do with the character. You have to overwhelm them so the opponent doesn't know what's coming. And it just looks, and he's just gotten so good at execution that he can body everyone in kind of a free-flowing kind of way. But that is how you're supposed to play him. So he's really tough to learn. Abel, you just have to be very, you have to understand the mindset of a grapple, and he has a little bit of execution as well, because you got to learn about change of direction, FADC, low fierce, and all that kind of stuff like that to get good with him at a higher level. And his normals are a little more awkward. So, yeah, but the thing about it is if you enjoy the characters, I don't want to discourage you from playing them, because there is something to be said about playing a character that you love, playing a character that appeals to you, playing a character that for some reason connects with you. And if those are the characters that connect with you, more power to you. Definitely learn them and try to figure out how to go with them and just do it. And don't let me discourage you. But, I mean, I would recommend jumping around characters every once in a while just to try other characters to see if there's anybody else that you may enjoy or someone else that can help you learn fundamentals a little bit. But, you know, if Dudley or Abel is your thing, please stick with them. Do not get me to change them. So, let's see here. Oops, I turned off the wrong one. Okay, let me see here. Trying to figure out what the heck I just did here. This is not the one. Is this the one? Yes, okay, this is the one. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I have the ones that I know that I answered marked or not. So, okay, last question for the day. Chris asks me, he really enjoys the shows. Thank you very much, Chris. He just wants to ask if there's a chance of me doing an execution corner focusing on the hitbox controller. He's been using an arcade stick since the days of the NES Advantage or the Super Advantage stick on the Super Nintendo, but he switched to a hitbox about a year ago. He's had reasons why he needed to do that, and it's just a lot easier for him to hit buttons than it is to use a joystick. So he still has trouble doing a lot of things. Any advice would be appreciated. Actually, I do want to do an episode on hitbox. In fact, I want to do an episode where I compare all the different controller methods at some point in time. However, look for Hitbox's channel on YouTube. I don't know what it is. It might just be Hitbox. Let's see. So let me go to Hitbox. Let me see if I can find what their channel is. Hitbox controller. It looks like their channel is Hitboxes. So go to youtube.com/hitboxes. Does this work? Yes. So go to youtube.com/hitboxes, HITBOXES. They have a lot of tutorial videos there on how to do things, like how to do 720s, how to do Hadouken motions, how to do all sorts of stuff. So they have a lot of videos. There's a lot of great resources out there. So check those out. These are from people who have used the hitbox for a long time, so they'll be able to give probably better advice than I can. But definitely check those out. And I will do a future episode on controllers for sure. So, okay. So that's going to be it for me today. Again, you know, hope you guys enjoy this session, Ask jchensor episodes. I like to do these a lot because I definitely like to answer the questions from the people out there. It's more interactive for me, and it, you know, in a way for me to teach Street Fighter, to make sure that I'm answering questions people want to know. So again, if you guys want me to answer questions in the future, please send emails to ultrachentv@gmail.com with the subject line Ask jchensor. Spaces and capitalization may vary, doesn't matter. So send those to me. And again, any kind of questions, any kind of, you know, any subject, as long as it, you know, has something to do with fighting games, or it has to do with me. People have tried to ask me, you know, some questions about myself, like what do I do for work and all sorts of things like that. So yeah. So definitely send emails my way. And that's about it. So guys, stay tuned for level 3 focus coming up with Mr. Ultra David. All right. Peace out, everybody.